All right, welcome back, everybody. We want to talk more about what we saw from the Lions last night in Green Bay. So we're going to get into that with a Local 4's digital executive producer and host of Detroit Sports Plus, Derek Hutchinson. He joins us now.
Are you sure you want to talk more?
Right? Even when you walked into studio, it's just the energy. The energy is low. I mean, obviously we walked in with high hopes.
Yeah.
And with the trade the week before, I mean, there was a little bit of worry, but just overall glance. Are we long-term worried? I mean, there's a lot to take apart here.
Like you said, okay, the Packers have all this momentum, right? They trade for one of the best players in the league. They're at home. It's opening game. And it's hard to, when you haven't seen this year's team play well, it's hard not to overreact to one really, really bad showing. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried long-term in the sense of I think the Lions are a bad team or that their window of contention is over. But some of the things that we were kind of concerned about coming into the season they were the reason that this game went so poorly. So because of that, it's not like these issues just came out of nowhere. So there are some concerns that I think have some legs. Yeah.
Obviously with Carson gone. And then with Campbell saying in the press conference, that we made some critical mistakes at basically horrible times.
Yeah, and the biggest worry for me was the Lions looked bad at both lines. I mean, the Lions have basically built this entire 3-year run in the trenches. They've been great on the offensive line. They've been really good up front defensively. And yesterday, it was like the Packers just manhandled them on both ends. So that's something that sort of is a longer-term concern, but this staff has done such a good job bouncing back from terrible games like this that you have to at least give them a couple weeks and see what they can do with it.
What do you think in terms of facing Chicago next, mentally? Because I'm thinking mentally, that's not what I would choose, obviously.
Yeah, if the Lions after that game go into the second game and lose to Ben Johnson, I think that there's going to be sort of a meltdown citywide. But I think that fans should expect the Lions to get right. Okay, the Packers have a better roster than the Bears do. The Lions are coming back home to Ford Field.
Right.
And so I would expect this staff to sort of, buckle down. They're going to figure out what went wrong, and they're going to get it right. So the Lions have played some of their worst football early in the season the last few years. They don't play anybody in the preseason, so there's a little bit of a rust potentially. So I expect next week will look a little bit different than the first.
What was the positive you saw?
Not a lot to choose from, yeah.
I'm always trying to find something.
I think obviously that touchdown catch from Isaac TeSlaa. I mean, he didn't play a bunch on offense, but he was so good in the preseason, so it's nice to see him come through in such a big way in his first actual opportunity on the field. So the Lions have sort of an embarrassment of riches at wide receiver. And just to add another one, it means that offense can just be really explosive.
So do we see this, and do we even start talking about how it affects playoffs? I mean,
it's never too early, I don't think, especially because the Lions and the Packers were such a coin flip in terms of division odds coming into the season. Seeing the Packers beat them so handily in the first head-to-head, I think does sort of swing the division race in the Packers' favor a little bit. But I still think that this is a playoff team. I still think that the Lions are a double-digit win team. So I don't think it's time to overreact.
Jared Goff. 4 sacks. He came, when he spoke after the game, I mean, you could tell obviously by his attitude, we didn't play well.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating for him, I'm sure. And Jared Goff has long been a guy who is considered to be very good when he has time and not very good when he doesn't. So that goes back to the offensive line and the changes that the Lions have seen there. I really think that's the top priority to get that figured out, because if it's not good up front, then the Lions are going to be in trouble.
When you take a look at the game coming up, is there a moment where you're like, we have to get through? You know what I mean? I'm always like, okay, if we make it to the half and we're tied, or, what's your perspective on it?
I don't think the Lions can afford to, go down a couple scores early, because this is Ben Johnson's Super Bowl, basically.
It really is.
Coming back to Detroit. There were a lot of fans who didn't like the way he left, even though he gave the Lions so much. So for him to come in and sort of stick it to the Lions with, some of his vintage play calling or a couple big touchdown drives, that would really hurt. And I really think that the Lions would feel like they were sort of fighting uphill after that.
You're on Click On, obviously, this morning, and fans are commenting and making comments on articles. What's the feeling you're hearing from some of our viewers and readers?
People are worried. They're frustrated. The two new coordinators are going to be under a microscope early in the season. And the fact that the Lions basically went without a touchdown, except for the final minute of the game, was not a good debut for John Morton, taking over from Ben Johnson. So those guys are going to need to pick it up, because everything that they do over the first, few weeks of the season is going to be scrutinized. Yep.
Appreciate your perspective.
Yeah.
See, you're smiling.
We'll have happy Monday mornings.
We will, for sure. All right, Derek, we appreciate it.